Hello, everybody. I'm Kip Snow, Director of the Transportation Distribution and Logistics Institute at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Hey, everybody. Mike Singer, Community Manager, Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Ship Watchers. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Ship Podcast, episode 57.
You know, last week we had a big college meeting, and all of the different departments had to stand up and do a business plan or presentation on their department. We all had 10 minutes.
Right.
So this thing was a rapid fire all the way through.
Right.
And I get up for my presentation right after lunch, and I start, and I get the microphone, and hello, everybody. I'm Kip Snow, Director of the and I just didn't. It was just natural.
You just came flying out.
And I didn't catch myself until I started to hear chuckles in the audience. And I go, okay, everybody who's now laughing, I know has been listening to the podcast. So I had to explain why everybody was laughing at me introducing myself. And then, then I went into my presentation.
That's kind of cool. Because you're like, okay, I'm getting laughed at, but this is a good thing. For once.
At least we know we have somebody listening.
Right. Okay, the three listeners of the podcast happen to be in the audience today. Okay,
that's right. It's been it's been quite a week.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things going on. There's been a lot of things going on within the port.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, a whole lot of stuff. Hey, before we get into all that, hey, if you're new to the channel, give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell, be alerted to new podcasts as they come available.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah. The shipping updates.
All right. Yeah, just like the last 4 weeks. So average daily truck transactions at Seagirt. This is but for any given week, right? So we count it all up, divide by 5, and come up with a daily average for the week. So we're going to go back 4 weeks, 32.98, 36.24, 35.63, and 35.86. So pretty darn consistent these last 3 weeks. And this week was interesting because there were 2 big days. There was like a 38 and a 39, and 2 like 35s, and then when I did the totals, I averaged, I did the math, and I'm like, it's only 35. I thought it would be much higher, but Friday it was like Friday was way down. So even though we were up like 600 or 700, like Friday pulled it back down. So, the average wound up being those 235s and not higher like the other 2 days. So, so that was interesting. One of these days, we're going to have to get that graph back up, huh?
Yeah, we need to get the graph back up, but I'm also thinking, these are truck transactions. These are going in and out of the gate.
Yes.
I did see somebody posted in the Facebook group this week. The terminals are just jam packed with ships, and what I don't know is how much time, on average, a container sits on the terminal grounds. I almost said tarmac. I don't know. Just it's Friday, end of the week. What?
Okay.
What? But to see, what's
right
that average time?
Right next door used to be an airport, so we're gonna.
Well, that's correct. Yes. It used
we're
to.
Gonna let you slide on that one.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the noobs are like, what used to be an airport? I don't know what you guys talking about.
Dundalk Marine Terminal used to be an airport. That is correct. Yeah, Dundalk Marine Terminal used to be an airport. So I think we've had a couple of mentions on the history segment on there, but anyway.
Yeah, I think we have hit on that before.
But we know that those truck transactions are based on what comes off of the ships. And if we start to see, the higher volume of the ships coming in, well, it also depends on how many containers are pulling off of the ships. But I'd be curious to see if we could map out that correlation also of the week prior, what ships or what that discharge certain number of containers and what that
Mm.
output out the gate is later
Yeah,
on.
well, remember the only reason we're talking about truck transactions is because it's the easy public one to
Correct.
get every week that we can talk about.
Correct.
The other stuff comes out occasionally. You know,
Yeah,
there's
it is
lifts and there's imports, there's exports, and then there's moves. I think, right?
correct.
So there's
Yes.
all these different metrics that they track, but only one of them is
Just
easy to get
correct.
so that we can blab about it every week.
Anyway, nerdy.
So
Sorry.
yeah, I would, it would be cool to hit one of the other metrics, you know,
Mm-hmm.
one of the ones that, okay, this is just truck transactions, but there's more stuff going on there, They're doing lifts, they're doing moves. What if you counted total container moves?
Rail moves now.
Right, because well,
That's not a truck. I would imagine that's not being included in truck transactions because
that's true.
that's counting them as the trucks go automatically
Now it
through and
may
out the gate.
be, they may be, well, I would imagine most of the rail is going out. So most of the most of the container traffic that comes into the port are imports. So we're missing 75% of, we're missing 75% of the data.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 57, we just came up with that.
No, but that's. I mean,
Stick with us. We know what we're talking about.
if if those are the metrics that are being collected and we're talking about them and people kind of get interested in them. I know my
Mhm.
father and I have kind of chatted about, okay, what does that mean from a
Mhm.
supply chain management
Mhm.
perspective? But
At least we stay on the same metric. It's comparable every week,
true.
right? You're looking at this, you're measuring the same darn thing every week. But it would be cool to get more of a bigger picture. How do
Right.
we get that?
That's kind of, I'm wanting to explain the why. It's not just a number. There's some importance behind it.
Right. And I mean, we can go to that giant spreadsheet on the web that state of Maryland has, but that's always 2 to 3 months out.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So I don't know. Maybe we should revisit that. I don't know, year to year at the end of the year. Do it.
I was just thinking about that just to look at it from a yearly perspective, then to be able to chart that out. That's probably easier to.
Maybe look at the last 3 or 5 years or something.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, lots going on this week. One of the things that was happening just yesterday, so we're recording on Friday. Yesterday was 9/11, the anniversary of the terrorist attacks on our country 24 years ago. And did you know that we have our own memorial in
That's right.
town at the Inner Harbor by our own World Trade Center?
That is
So
correct.
I'm going to take a look at some pictures from there.
Yeah. So I went out. I went out yesterday morning and stopped for I went to the World Trade Center in downtown Baltimore just
Mm-hmm.
for the ceremony. It
Mm-hmm.
was a very quaint ceremony. There was probably four or five dozen people, bystanders there. Definitely representation from the city fire department, city police department. But this was part of the wreath laying and
Mm-hmm.
salute right after the ceremony. Um, I did take some pictures of the different components of the overall monument. So
Cool.
four or five different pieces that make up the full memorial.
Mm-hmm.
This is the marble slabs that hold up a piece of the actual, the steel from the building,
Mm-hmm.
and from
Now,
World Trade Center.
is there anywhere, do they know exactly where this piece came from in the is that written down anywhere? Do you know?
I
Or
I don't know that information.
okay.
I do notice that there was maybe some spray paint markings. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and they know exactly where it came from, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that.
I'm sure somebody could look at plans, or somebody, an architect might be able to
Oh, it's
extrapolate.
from this floor or something like that. Sure. But what you see here is on the marble slabs is a list of all of the Maryland native individuals um, who died that day.
It's 67 people, I think, was the count.
I believe you're correct. Yes,
Right. Now, this is the east end because we see the constellation in the background, right? And Harbor Park.
correct. Now the
So we're
reason
looking
why
west, but this is the east end of the.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now the reason why is that this memorial is also designed to also align as a sundial, and
How cool was
on
that?
the next corner, and we'll show the picture here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'll see the sundial, but on this side is completely visible by sunlight all of the time. And what the purpose was to have those names always be in the light.
Oh, that's nice.
Um,
That's nice.
Now on the 90 degrees walking in
Mm-hmm.
clockwise, and you
Mm-hmm.
can see the a little bit of the sundial right here.
Oh
What
yeah,
they have
look at
done is
that.
they have marked. Well, I'll show another picture of this, but they have
Okay.
marked the times that
The
each
significant
plane,
times, yeah.
yeah, each plane had an incident.
Yeah.
And so what happens is on 9/11, on the day at the time,
Right.
the World Trade Center building acts as the the sun alignment for hitting each one of those marks
On
at the
that
time that they
time.
happen.
Man, that's cool.
Now these two pictures, and I took the picture on the left first,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, that's an
Oh,
impressive picture with the flag's image in the glass of the building over top of the steel. And then I was
cool.
like, well, hold on, let me go to the other side and take a picture of what,
Yeah.
what it is that you're actually looking at. So
That
that,
that is really cool. True Confessions is we do talk about this stuff during the week. We do plan it. And so I go out and I look for a website that, that talks about this as a sundial,
Mhm.
that has photographs, that talks about maybe how it works, maybe a list of the significant times that are etched in the granite for the sundial. Nothing. I can't find it
Hmm.
anywhere. Now, you do get directed to sites that might have a paragraph,
Mhm.
or sites that used to work. Um, but it seems to me that right now, even though we have this wonderful local monument, it doesn't seem to have much of an online presence, hardly at all,
Sure.
which is a little bit of a
Interesting.
bummer.
Sure.
If anybody in within the sound of my voice either wants to go find that as homework, or start writing some people that and maybe somebody can make one, or maybe the is it the Baltimore director of arts, not promotional, what's it called?
Oh, yes, there was a page up for that group
Yes.
that
Yes.
covered it, and it's not
Maybe
there right this
somebody
minute.
can write them and say, hey, shouldn't we
Hey,
have.
your website's down. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is one of the marble blocks that has a little bit of a narration, explaining what all is going on.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Um, This is during the ceremony. You had some eulogies from, like I said, the Baltimore City Fire Department. This is some of the local clergy that was offering some, inspirational words and prayer.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to show this also. This is off to the I guess the east side of the property, and the three granite blocks here. Those are
Mm-hmm.
actually blocks that were recovered from the Pentagon. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so in that incident, and then the three towers, these little
Mm-hmm.
three marble towers, are a representation of what happened with Flight 93. And so
Okay.
the whole day is represented here on the grounds.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I will admit I don't get down there enough.
Yeah, I had walked through a couple of times, but I hadn't spent that the amount
Right.
the amount of time looking and reading everything, trying to prepare for this. So it was pretty interesting.
So when we were talking about, you know, how to cover 9/11 on the podcast, I wanted to approach it from a maritime perspective, because we're two guys talking ship.
Right.
Um, and this next picture, I think, really illustrates or helps to illustrate what I want to highlight and talk about. Obviously, um, this didn't happen here in Baltimore. The tragic events didn't happen here in Baltimore, but um, there was this boat lift of people who just helped folks get off Manhattan Island. And there's a little write up here I wanted to
Yeah,
run
sure.
through it. On September 11th, when the unthinkable happened and chaos gripped New York City, a quiet and extraordinary act of humanity unfolded on the waters of the Hudson and East Rivers. As the towers fell and lower Manhattan filled with smoke, dust, and fear, hundreds of thousands of people were trapped on the island with no way out. Bridges and tunnels were closed, the streets were blocked, panic was rising. In that moment, the city's salvation came not from the land, but from the water. Ordinary boat captains, ferry operators, tugboat crews, fishing boats, private yachts, Coast Guard, and even pleasure craft answered a call that was never formally made. They simply saw people in need and moved toward the danger. What became known as the largest boat evacuation in history. Nearly 500,000 people were carried to safety in less than 9 hours. Boat horns echoed throughout the harbor as captain pulled alongside piers, seawalls, makeshift docks, taking on passengers covered in dust and fear. No one asked for payment. No one asked questions. They just loaded as many as they could, turned around, went back again, over and over. This spontaneous boat lift was a testament to the courage and compassion of everyday Americans. These mariners did not wear uniforms or carry titles of heroism. They were simply the people with boats who chose to help. In the midst of terror, they brought calm. In the face of destruction, they carried hope. The 9/11 boat lift reminds us that even in the darkest hours, humanity shines brightest when strangers become rescuers, when fear gives way to selflessness, and when ordinary people rise to do something truly extraordinary.
Wow.
Yeah. And just go to YouTube and look up 9/11 boat lift. Um,
Mm,
uh, I, I think you'll be able to find it. I don't think there's a bunch of different ones. I mean, there may
yeah.
be, but I know there's one significant video that's pretty stirring and tells a story.
Sure. Sure.
But I also wanted to let's run through
Hmm.
the timestamps of the day. Okay. 8:46, the first plane crashes. American Airlines Flight 11 strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 9:03. The second plane crashes. United Flight 175 strikes the South Tower. 9:37. The third plane crashes. American Airlines Flight 77 crashes into the western face of the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. 9:59. After burning for 56 minutes, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. The collapse takes a shocking 10 seconds. Just, you know, the fact that you're watching something for 10 seconds. More than 800 civilians and first responders lost their lives. 10:03, the fourth plane crashes. Heroic crew members and passengers of United Flight 93 stormed the cockpit, forcing the hijackers to crash the plane into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, at a location just 20 minutes flying time from Washington, D.C. 10:15, the damaged section of the Pentagon E-ring, the west-facing outer ring, collapses. 10:28, after burning for 102 minutes. So almost double the time of the other building. After burning for 102 minutes, the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses, which ironically was the first one to be hit.
Hmm.
Horribly tragic day. What is interesting, it's probably easy enough to say that I spend more time on Facebook than Kip. And I've seen, once I saw a story, like Survivor Story, or somebody who was telling, somehow they found, put together a story of someone who sacrificed their life helping someone.
Sure.
Then I guess the Facebook algorithms kicked on.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I saw, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 stories.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to share all of them. And now I feel a little bit bad that I didn't, because, I feel like, you know, there's, nothing wrong with being a young person on this earth, but there's a lot of young folks who really, they only hear about this in history books and in school.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a little different when you go through it.
Yeah. I'm thinking about, Pearl Harbor was never, obviously not alive for that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I learned, was through history books or TV or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But living it's totally different.
Right.
And so it's
Right.
now we've got a generation coming up that this is their Pearl Harbor.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and tell a little bit about my story. So it's really not my story. It's really my family's story. But my wife is a flight attendant,
Mm-hmm.
working for American Airlines. She was on a trip, a couple-day trip, spent a night in Charlotte, reported to the airport, beautiful day, as everybody says, and was due to get on the plane and go to the next place, when everything got grounded.
Mm.
So went, and I mean, the kids were 8, 9, 9 or 10, 9, 10 at the time. Took them out of school, went and got them, bought her a ticket on a train.
Mm.
Can't even do that now buy somebody a ticket.
Right.
I don't even think you can do that now. Bought her a ticket on the train, and she was home before most of her coworkers were.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
Hmm.
So, um, we weren't affected tragically, but
Still,
it
still
definitely,
involved.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, sure.
yep. So we at least wanted to spend a few minutes talking about September 11th. Here it is, September 12th,
Sure.
and Defenders Day,
Yeah.
which was
We'll
its
get into.
own big giant thing
That's right.
way back in the day. We'll talk about
We'll
that
chat
real
about
quick.
Defenders Day coming up.
Yeah.
So.
So here's a first for the podcast, right? Um, we keep saying, hey, we'd rather not just talk into the ether, into the camera. It'd be nice if we really knew people were listening, get some feedback, right? Are we just talking to our laptops? What's going on here, Kip?
That's right.
And the bad part is we keep doing it. I mean,
I know, right?
um, but a listener wrote in, and ironically on the website, which was interesting. And I need to work on that because it's, it winds up going into, some cryptic inbox that I have to get to, and sometimes I don't
Oh,
see them, and
yeah.
you know, it's like tied to the design of the website. Anyway, a listener request. Michelle writes in on the website. Good morning. I was just wondering if you would discuss the container issue in Long Beach. I'm interested to hear how often this happens and if there's a protocol for this type of incident. It seems like a logistical nightmare with those containers. Thank you, Michelle. So, real quickly, Long Beach is a monster of a port.
Yes.
Um, I just I pulled up marine traffic, just today, and just counted the container ships, just the container ships. 12. There were 12 container ships.
Wow.
There was probably room for 20.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
It's it's a monster, and they're all not just. You can tell that this port has grown and grown and grown, and let's put an island out here, and let have this thing wrap around over here, and let's add this thing. Or I mean, it looks like a crazy amalgamation of
Yeah.
you know it's kind of all over the place and haphazard, but it's a monster port, and they do an awful lot of importing there.
Mhm.
So that was interesting to see, how big that is, right?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um yeah, do you want to take the second half
Yeah, so
of it?
I do have some information. So on
Great.
Tuesday, September the 9th, approximately 67 to 70 containers fell into the water at the port of Long Beach. And this was at Pier G Terminal
Mm-hmm.
from the cargo ship MV Mississippi
Mm-hmm.
after it arrived from China, which is this particular ship is a Zim chartered vessel. The event resulted in a light oil spill, a sprained ankle, and a temporary shutdown of the affected terminal. So there was no deaths in this.
Mm.
Salvage operations are underway and to recover the containers and to investigate the cause of the incident, which involved the ship's operations and an attached emissions control barge.
Now that's interesting. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
California has way more stricter like auto
mhm,
emissions
correct.
restrictions than we do. And so I was like, what is that thing? And it's this boom on a barge that I guess they go up, and it
Mhm.
helps to like
Mitig-
pull in the exhaust from the
mhm,
ship, so it
That's right.
doesn't. I was like, wow, that's interesting because we don't have that here.
Mm-mm. No.
And there were
But
guys working on that barge. The containers fell on the barge,
correct.
and somehow,
Everybody survived.
oh, that's a miracle.
Now, now there have been a couple of different, points of view. There were actual video that was recording at the time. So one of them was from the terminal side, and I'm assuming one of the terminal cameras, like
Mm-hmm.
CCTV or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they had containers that came and fell onto onto
Onto the
the
dock
terminal.
also.
Yeah, so they were falling both ways. So
Oh, that's
uh,
interesting.
the so right after you emailed me about our listener, I jumped on this. I sent a message to one of my contacts at the at one of the terminals at Dundalk
Oh, cool.
and said, hey, does has this happened before? Is there a protocol? What is the protocol
Mm-hmm.
typically? And
Mm-hmm.
so the response was that they are supposed, if an incident like this same situation happens,
Mm-hmm.
they are to immediately notify the Maryland Port Administration and U.S. Coast Guard, because each of those entities has a process that they have to follow for announcing that
Mm.
there are issues. Get other get other agencies involved that have to be involved. So that's their first step.
Mm-hmm.
When they call, or when they make that announcement, they have to provide container contents, the quantity, and the location of where those containers went in. So immediately they have to stop all operations, assess the situation, try to
Mm.
figure out what's in what went over. And you can use ship manifests and documentation to have a pretty good sense as to
Mm-hmm.
what just happened. And then in the response it said, "quote The last time it happened here, so this has
Mm-hmm.
happened before here at the Port of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
They contacted a local salvage company, and the containers, there were just a couple of containers, were
Mm.
recovered with a floating barge crane, and then Maryland Port Administration and Coast Guard are not notified about the salvage operation."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so that's what happens as you go through and do do the incident report, and you start doing the cleanup and the mitigation. Now, I know that there's probably going to be some questions like, okay, so what happens with the containers now that they are in the water? I know that there are stories about international sea laws, and if the container falls off, it's free game. And I've seen
Oh, right.
that kind of stuff. But here, what you really have to do is take a look, because you know what containers are part of the incident.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of them has a term of sale that has to be followed, and there is what's called an INCO term, which identifies what party is responsible for damages or replacements or insurance replacements or any of
Hmm.
those things. So it could be that the shipping line is responsible for it. It could be that the terminal operator is. It could be that the customer is on the hook for it. It could be that the shipper is on the hook for the insurance and the damage, all
Hmm.
based on what is negotiated out between the buyer and the seller of the contents inside that container.
Interesting.
So this isn't
So
just hey, I get rid of my container and haul it to the dump now that everything is soaked in it. There is still a business transaction that has to be managed because of this.
interesting. So the way this is worded, immediately notify MPA and United States Coast Guard. Now, I'm not debating. Um, provide container contents, quantity, and the location. Okay, I think it goes. They notify. It's not like they have to have that stuff before they notify them, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you've got two containers floating, okay, great. Let me take the little boat and go over and get the numbers off of them.
Mhm. Right.
If what happens out in Long Beach happens, it's
You're
going
not
to be
taking
a
that.
while before you're going to be able to get. I mean, Now somebody who knows container ships can probably look up and go, okay, that whole 17th row is gone. We know we can just look that up, right?
Correct.
But when you get
And
into where you don't know what's going on, I mean, you're going to have to eyeball those numbers, I would guess,
well,
and
I'm
that
I'm
won't be
sure
easy.
I'm sure not every container is going to float too for you to be able to
Well,
go
there's
take the
that.
John boat up and take the number off of it.
Right.
So also that I do recognize that the response that I was given was not the standard operating procedure. Step one is this, step two is this. It was more of the, summary. I would imagine if there
Sure.
was an incident, you're calling, hey, look, call the emergency folks. Let's get it. Here's the incident.
Right.
Oh, you got to get me the stuff. We're getting it for you. Just give me 5 more minutes type situation. But
Right.
we need to start the notification. Um,
And then
but
did you see the video of the fireboat? And it took its nozzles, water nozzles, and was shooting them at the containers to provide like a tide to push them up into like
oh,
a
okay, yeah,
corner so that they wouldn't wander
and float
somewhere else
away.
in the terminal. I was like,
Sure.
wow, that's interesting. Sal pointed that out in his video.
Oh, yeah, yes, I did pick up on that. Yeah.
And then another couple of points I wanted to bring up for Michelle was two distinct differences between West Coast and East Coast, right?
Yes.
West Coast is right across the ocean from China.
Yep.
We get an awful lot of imports from China. So, and Long Beach is a monstrous port. So when the ships come over, they might run 70, 80 to 100% and offload everything.
Yep.
The reason I'm saying that is because when I watched Sal's video on this, he was talking about, well, there's normally, everything's normally strapped and tied down. Now,
Oh, yeah.
you and I might call those turnbuckles,
Hmm.
right? And they're these monster giant turnbuckles that go from one corner of a container to the other corner of the other container, to make the stack more rigid. So because they lock onto each corner has a hole, and then there are these locking pins that lock the containers together, but they're just sitting upright. Um, like on the back of some ships, or some ships, there's, and I don't know what the term, episode 57 has to, um, cell guides, maybe sounds right. Throw rotten tomatoes and darts at Mike at BaltimoreShipWatchers.com. And so some of them actually lock in and slide into a slot. Once you get above that, it's just those locking pins,
Hmm.
and then the turnbuckles that hold, that
The whole
um
stack up.
yeah, that keep that vertical from
Mm,
tipping
yes.
and falling if the ship were to encounter some rough weather or whatever.
Right.
um and so what Sal was pointing out is that, hey, I don't see any turnbuckles on this whole ship. But then he thought it through and he said, but they might be, um, offloading almost 100% of this ship. And so, one of the first things, if you're going to unload, you take all the turnbuckles off
Right.
so that once the guy gets in the crane and he starts picking, he doesn't have to
It's just
wait. It's just pick,
correct.
put it on a truck, pick, put it on a truck, pick for hours and hours and hours. Um, so, but on the East Coast, it's more like a UPS truck, because you're going to go to New York, you're going to go to Philly, you're going to go to
Hmm.
Baltimore, you're going to go to Norfolk, you're going to go to Savannah, right? You're going to go to all these different ports, and you know the ship might only be here for 5 hours.
And you're only pulling from one stack.
Yeah, and you're only undoing the turnbuckles and straps on the ones that you're moving. You're not going to just summarily take them off the entire ship. And if we look at those videos, there's that one video from the terminal across the way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the front of this ship, one like was it the front row? Was the row one?
Mm-hmm.
Falls off, and then while they're done watching that fall, then it's like the next row behind the rear
Mm-hmm.
structure starts falling and surprises the heck out of them. They're like, "Oh my god, look at!" So I'm just pointing out that it's a
Well, here's
different unloading pattern.
here's something else that's tied to what you are explaining.
Okay.
Why are these stacked? Yes, all of the locking mechanisms had been removed. The Coast Guard and the NTSB are now currently investigating the cause of this.
Mm-hmm.
But it was noted that the ship was not balanced, tied up to the terminal. And this is a quote from
Okay.
G Captain. According to eyewitness footage, the container collapse appeared to have begun in the aft stack before spreading to the forward section near the vessel's superstructure. The footage appears to show the ship listing to the starboard away from the pier when the accident occurred. And so one of the terminal video that I saw
Mm-hmm.
that showed from land out towards sea, you
Right.
could see that it was the ship was leaning. Um, so there may be some ballast related issues, and another reason why you may not want to go and pull all of those locks off if you're having some challenges keeping your vessel balanced. That thing could flip is very very quickly. Um,
Yeah, and
so
maybe
so
they
that
didn't know they were having challenges. Another
true.
thing, and this is cool that she wrote in because we're like learning stuff.
Oh sure,
Um,
yeah,
and it's all your fault, Michelle. So thank you.
yeah.
Because one thing that Sal said. Now, when I say this, you're going to go, "Oh, well, that's common sense," but like I didn't know this, that the container ships have an automatic ballasting system.
Okay,
Now that makes sense, as you know, not every container is going to be 40,000 pounds,
right.
but as you start pulling 40 Ks off of a ship,
Mm-hmm.
it might affect the ballast, and so like he was saying, if that ship isn't level, then the um, the fixture won't be able to grab the container right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has an automatic ballasting system. So I didn't know that. I mean, it certainly
Interesting.
makes sense that, you know, Jimmy and Joey aren't up there looking at bubble levels. Hey, a little bit to the right with the joy. I don't know how it works. I have no idea how it works. But, uh,
Okay.
you know, it certainly makes sense that there's an automatic balancing system. I had no
Sure.
idea that. Did you
Interesting.
know that?
I didn't realize it was automatic. I knew that it was. I knew that that had to be managed in port,
Oh yeah, of
but
course.
I did not know that
How?
they. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Um, I,
Interesting.
I hope that answered Michelle's question.
Hope so.
Yeah. Thanks for writing it. Should we send her a sticker?
We should.
Michelle, right back. Send us your Mike at BaltimoreShipWatchers.com.
Yeah,
Email us your address. We'll get you a sticker. How about that
sounds good.
for
Let's do it.
for sending that question in? So,
Yeah, let's make that happen.
um, in other Port of Baltimore news, there was a vessel at Seagirt had a technical problem.
Yeah, and we don't know the exact details,
Mm-hmm.
but the OOCL Soul, which is the name of the ship, um, which is a container ship at Seagirt, I don't know how this happened, but the radar got snapped off of it. Can you believe that?
Like on top of the ship?
Yeah, like you know
Hmm.
the horizontal, and I don't know what the type of the radar. I know it has a name. That spins like it's on the top of the ship, like right above the superstructure.
Okay.
And somehow that got snapped off. I don't know if the crane came down on it or if a
Hmm.
crane was transitioning and thought the boom was hot. I have no idea how it happened, and
Okay.
I haven't been able to confirm anything. Um, but all of a sudden, we're looking at the camera, we're watching marine traffic as we always do, and how come that ship moved? How come
Hmm.
it's sitting down there and nobody's working on it and there's no cranes around it? And then somebody today said on the camera, "Oh, they were up there putting a new radar on that ship, and it was due to leave tonight." Now, this is I'm gonna, this. So that's the like the white T there that you see. That's the radar, and you can see this long, skinny boom, and it looks like the rigging is still attached to the radar as they're
Yeah, you can see the.
lifting it on, and it looks like
Mhm.
somebody's standing up there trying to find a way to bolt it in place. And you can imagine you're up on top of this, and I mean, stuff just breaks or bends, and it
Right.
doesn't break or bend in a predictable way. I mean, sometimes you can engineer things like that, like
Oh,
light poles, right? They're designed to snap off in a certain way, but
sure.
I would
It,
imagine this wasn't. And so, what kind of mangled stuff are you dealing with? And how you're up there with like a drill? And I mean, how do
yeah,
you
right.
you just cobble? So you're up there, MacGyver, cobbling something together until you can get to the next port to really get somebody to. I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea how this works. I'm just like trying to imagine because um,
I
we know people in the port, but we don't know that many people in the port.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, so somebody caught this, um, them working on putting this new radar on this ship, and mind you, this is from 6.5 miles away
Sure. Yeah.
on a 4K camera, and it
It's
wouldn't look
impressive.
this bad except we were zoomed in, so you could see the guy trying to
I'm trying to
bolt it
work
in
it.
place or attach it, however he's trying to do that. So, so that's a crazy story from the port this week, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah.
There was an article that the port
Mm-hmm.
posted, I believe on X, Twitter, what are you calling it, um, about some of the different cargoes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we grabbed some of those pictures. You want
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the did you know? Did you know the port is one of the most cargo diverse ports in the nation, ranking number one among U.S. ports for farm and construction machinery, imported gypsum and forest products. Number two for autos and light trucks, and imported sugar and salt.
to? Yeah. So there's a picture of your salt.
I would think so. Yes. And this is a really interesting picture.
Sure is. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Right.
You got Roro, you've got container, you got break bulk with the you got bulk.
The paper, the rolls of paper
Yeah.
with the specific gripping mechanism
Mhm.
on the front of the tow motor to grab those rolls and
Yeah,
put
that's
them on
impressive
that.
to watch.
Right. And we don't get many ships like this
Mm-mm.
into port. So the fact that it's kind of cool that they showed this. And I think this is the only place, now I could be wrong, but I think this is the only place in the port where a ship that has a full stern ramp like this can just back up,
Oh,
drop the ramp, and you drive off.
wow, interesting.
Do you know where that is? Now let me look at a map because so I don't call myself a liar.
I'm trying to look at it from the rest of the skyline perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
Fit, is it what is it
Well,
Fairfield? I can't.
you might be able to do it at you might be able to do it at South Locust Point too. So this is not South Locust. This is berth 13, all the way at the end of Dundalk Marine Terminal. So, berth 1 is where the pilot's office is, right by the bridge, and then the
Mm-hmm.
numbers go around to where the
Okay,
houses
gotcha.
are on the shore, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, this is like a little bump out there, and so whenever we
What I
see
wonder if
this
it
ship,
was
go
good.
ahead.
No, I was saying I was going to say is that I guess it was retrofitted or designed specifically for this kind of vessel,
Yeah, I would guess so. At least, yeah.
or at least one that has full ramp access
Right,
towards it,
right,
right?
and we don't, like I said, we don't get many of those. Um, so it's really interesting that they included this specific ship because
Yeah,
I
sure.
think it's been a while since she's visited the port. Oh, here we go.
So all the um, this
Now,
is a Dundalk and a bunch
mm-hmm,
of farm equipment that's being imported.
mm-hmm,
Do you know how? Do you know why? How how it's if it's imports or exports?
I do, I do. Well, because if they're pointing inwards away from the ship, they're imported. If
Yep,
they're porting outwards towards the ship, then they're for export. Is that right?
that's correct. That's correct. So those are some really cool shots to
Mm-hmm.
of what's some of the various products that are in and around the port.
Mm-hmm.
You got some updates on the W Sapphire explosion.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting, when uh, make some relationships with folks that are in the port, and then they might share some information with you. So I had no idea that this was happening, but there's a launch that goes out to the ship, like I think almost daily from Sandy Point. And I found out the company who's running it. So they're taking workers out there. What they're taking out there as far as tools, what they're working on specifically, what they're trying to accomplish, I haven't
Hmm,
been able to find out. But just to
interesting.
know that, and I mean, obviously, if the ship could leave, it would have left.
Sure.
And obviously, they're progressing towards getting the heck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
What's required to do that, I can only guess, and
Hmm.
maybe some hearsay, which we'll get to. But just to know, I think it's different to know. Like, okay, it makes sense that there's automatic ballast control on a container ship, but I didn't know that, right?
Sure. Sure.
And it makes sense that there's people out there working to get the ship out of here, but it's a
Yeah.
little bit different to know that there's a boat going out there every day,
Mm.
taking workers out there every day,
Mm.
and then to know the company that's doing it. So I contacted a guy at the company, um, and he said that he couldn't talk about it. He might be able to talk about it once the ship leaves, but he can't talk about it now. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
So
Um,
they've got some work and things that they're trying to
right.
accomplish. Yeah.
And then our buddies from Vane Brothers sent their little supply boat and delivered food stores.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I wonder, yeah, it just kind of doesn't add up. Because I would think, I forget what their next port was, but I imagine it was
It
weeks
was a good bit
away.
of it was a good bit of distance away if I
Wasn't it
remember.
like India or something?
Something like
30
that.
or
Yeah.
40 days.
Yeah. So
So,
they need they just the mere fact that they're here in the harbor and they can't go anywhere, they are going to need they're using up the
yes,
supplies that should have been
sure.
for their journey, so they've got to restock. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
there are costs associated with that when you have delays.
Yeah. And at least we know we're taking care of people,
Yep.
you know?
Sure.
Um, so from what I'm hearing, uh, people think that you're going to have to find a way to close off that hatch before you can
Okay.
sail. Now, does that mean they're going to take the old hatch and try to put it? I have no idea. I have no idea what that means.
Sure.
But it's certainly something interesting to ponder.
Yeah, sure. Especially no telling what kind of true damage to the hatch exists,
Right,
or if they're even able to mount
right,
it back on or retrofit it or.
right. And it's on some kind of rolling,
That's right,
right? Because the hatch is
because it was
closed like
moving.
this, then they roll outbound, I guess, on rails to
Hmm.
open. And so, you know, you eject 30 tons off of something at a high rate of speed, and
Something's gonna
it's
break.
going to leave a mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, you're
Right.
not going to be able to just lift it back. Hey, just bolt it right back up. Sure. So I don't know. Or do they come up and, buy 25? Like, remember the pictures of like the Lakers, and they had these giant clamps that they would put on the edge of the holds,
Mm.
right? I mean, I wonder if they just get some giant clamps and put it in place and clamp it in place, and that, I mean, I don't know. Is that enough?
Not
I have
sure. Yeah.
no idea. I'm just guessing. But so this was interesting. In one of Sal's videos, he said something about maybe going back to the port and offloading the coal.
Mm.
Right. And I guess it's certainly possible,
Sure. Anything's
but
possible, but
right. As long as you realize there's only 3 places for a ship like this to come back into port: the coal
yeah.
terminal that it came from, the other coal terminal, which is also dug to 50 feet, or Seagirt.
You're not putting that in Seeger.
And I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, Seagirt is not going to want a coal ship coming over there,
No.
uh, you know, uh, messing up their plans.
If by chance that does ever happen, we're driving down to Pier 13 and taking pictures of that.
Right, right, right.
What? It's cold.
What is going on here?
You can't container that.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, it would just take forever, right? Because I mean, how
Yeah.
would you do that? Because the coal terminal isn't designed to import coal. So I don't
Yeah. I
know.
mean, you'd have to.
Can they reverse the system and run it back up the hill?
Hmm.
I don't
I don't know.
know. I wouldn't.
Hmm.
I would think it doesn't work in reverse. I don't know. And then if that doesn't work, then you're bringing a barge and a crane next to it, and you're doing it a bucket at a time.
You know what? We might be able to ask Brian Hammond, I believe
Okay.
is his name, at CSX at the next BPA meeting.
Okay.
I wonder if he can give us a
Theor-
general answer as to
a
if that
theoretical
capability is possible.
answer.
Hmm. Theoretical answer, yes.
Yes.
All right,
Mhm.
homework.
Yeah. So a whole bunch of maybes and a whole bunch of theoretical stuff, but
Sure.
um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll just have to wait and find out.
Yep.
What else we got?
The real quickly, the Pride of Baltimore 2 is making her grand entrance return to Baltimore under sail.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll want, if you have a chance, so free time to go see this. This will be pretty cool. Viewing locations on September the 19th is the estimated time between 11 a.m. and noon. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll take an early lunch on the 19th, go run out to either Fort McHenry or the Broadway Pier or Federal Hill, and you should be able to see her come in under full sail. So September 19th, 11
Cool.
between 11 and noon.
Cool.
You got I think you've got some pictures with the Key Bridge rebuild up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite a bit of information, and it's great. There, these are some of the piles. Now we talked about this. Um, Now, interesting detail that I just picked up on just looking at this. You can
Hmm.
see how at the end of this pile, this steel cylindrical pile that we're looking at here, you can see the weld bead of the seam down the side. Can you see it? Right
Right
there.
in here.
Yep. And
Yep,
then notice how you can't see it on the next section,
I do see that, and so
but
they
then you
probably
can see it on the next section and every other section, right? So the
they've alternated them all the way.
very smart. Again, I'm sure this is very basic. Um, Would I have thought about it? I'm not sure. So it's kind of cool just to see that, if you've ever rebuilt an engine in a car, or if you know a little bit about engines, there's three rings on the pistons, right? And there's enough room that you can compress them together and slip it down into the cylinder,
Okay,
right? But there's always a little bit of a space. And then when you put the next piston ring in, you rotate it 180 degrees.
okay,
And when you
sure,
put
yeah,
the next piston ring in, you rotate it another 120 degrees so that they're at opposite points in the cylinder. Because if you ever line them up, you could have like blow by, like oil could,
sure,
you
okay,
know. So it's interesting to see them, alternating this as they
hmm
take these sections to make a 200-foot long pipe that's 8 feet in diameter and 2 inches thick. And it's just monstrous. It's just
mm.
monstrous. Um, Yeah. So, did you know hundreds of steel piles are being fabricated? More than 400 piles will be used for the bridges, cable stayed spans, and pier protection. They are being fabricated at special facilities in Texas and Louisiana. I hadn't heard the Louisiana part.
Mm-mm.
We've heard
Yeah,
Texas
neither.
before. That can accommodate their large size, and I just specified that. So, um, and then, yeah, there's looking down. Now, I wonder what that's doing. Is that some kind of inspection piece of
Yeah,
equipment
my guess,
rolling down the pipe?
yeah, it's non-destructive testing. So in
NDE, as we called it,
yeah,
and NASA.
that's correct. So here's a little nugget. So when
Mm-hmm.
I was got out of college, one of my first jobs was working for B&D Marine and Industrial Boilers down in North Charleston, South Carolina, as
Mm.
one of their purchasing agents.
Mm-hmm.
And so they, this is marine boilers, all of the steam and some of the nuclear related things. All of the technicians were doing significant amount of welding, a lot of different types of metals. And so they also had a sub arm that did non destructive testing, and they would have to go into these confined spaces and set up their x ray machines and things to make sure that the welds that have held the way that they have been,
Mm-hmm.
been made. So it's not just, hey, I'm going to, and it's done. You pull the helmet up, get it out there. No, they have to make sure that everything has formed the way that it's supposed to, and they do this
Mm-hmm.
through a non-destructive testing.
And it's interesting because you can see the seam on every other section
Yeah,
in this
you can see
photo,
that,
also.
and yes, just like what you said, you can see how it alternates all the way down.
Yeah,
Also,
that's cool. Interesting.
there's another shot of the other end of the
Yeah.
of the pipe. It's a very large pipe.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Um, Also bridge related, I think that some more cranes that
Mm-hmm. So yeah, here is Weeks 533. Weeks was its own company. They are now owned by Kiewit.
oh
Yep. And
Interesting.
huh?
Interesting.
Yep. And I think 533 was here pulling the containers off Dolly.
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
So came in a few days ago, and just this morning, or was it this morning? Yesterday morning. Yesterday. It came in and they stored it at Trade Point
Okay.
for a couple of days. So
This must be it leaving
they're
by
leaving
Bear
Trade
Creek
Point
then.
and just
Yeah.
headed straight out to the bridge.
Gotcha.
And later on, see that yellow thing on there?
Mm-hmm.
We've got some up close video of that.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think that's like the pile driver.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right. I think they hang it, put it on top of the
Top.
pile.
And,
Right. And you can actually see the mechanism inside on the videos.
okay. Speaking of video, is that the video that's next?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
The piles themselves are expected to arrive by the end of the month, and we'll be hoping to get underway by the end of the month with the pile driving operation.
So it's our friend
Mm-hmm.
Several
Jim.
hundred tons of
Jim, yeah,
equipment
yeah.
recently arrived in Baltimore, marking the next big step in the Key Bridge rebuild process.
I'm standing in front of our test load frame. We are going to be utilizing this to run our test pile program.
Over the last
there's
few
her-
weeks, barges delivered test pile equipment to Maryland, including parts of the testing frame, templates to hold the piles, a massive 500-ton floating crane, and pile driving hammers.
We'll have some barges which will assist with placing the piles. We'll have cranes which will be responsible for lifting very large hammers that will be driving those piles.
For months, MDTA Chief Engineer Jim Harkness says crews studied the riverbed where the new Key Bridge will be built. Soon they will verify that research by driving steel test piles over 200 feet long into the Patapsco River and putting immense pressure on them using the load test frame you see here.
Look at the size
Those
of that
piles essentially will be the support for the bridge. So we need to know that it can hold the forces of the bridge out in the river, putting up to 10 million pounds of pressure on each of the piles that we'll be installing out there.
Harkness says the test program won't just install temporary piles, it'll also install piles that will stay in place to support the bridge. And soon the community will spot something new on the water.
The piles themselves are expected to arrive by the end of the month, and we'll be hoping to get underway by the end of the month with the pile driving operation.
MDTA crews are monitoring noise and vibration devices in neighborhoods and surrounding locations near the bridge site. Construction is expected to take place Monday through Saturday between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. For the MDTA, I'm Allison Persing.
Lots of good info in there.
Yeah, some good info, some really cool pictures.
Yeah. Because
all
remember
right.
last week, Mike was like, "What is this frame going to look like? How do you?"
Well, it showed it all right there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. The cranes are here. Everybody settle down. They're building it.
Yep. Yep. Well, at least one crane is here, but I'm sure a lot more are coming. But yeah, on that one shot, that was like a close up. You could see like there was like almost like a tongue and groove on the inside
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
of that pile driver, for lack of a better term, and that big round part up inside was obviously a piston
Mm-hmm.
that ran along. Man,
I wonder what it's going to be tied to make that
I
what
think they're just going to hang it
dropping
on
it
top of it, sit it on
and just
top of it,
drop.
and it'll just right. They're going to put the big,
Gravity force
yeah.
driving. Okay.
And wasn't it Jim who said, I mean, you could almost, just drop stuff through the mud. It's so
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it should. I guess this
doesn't
it's
take
not,
a whole lot of what's encouragement to get
Okay.
to get it to go in. Yeah. So that was,
All right.
I think Key Bridge Rebuild is doing a fantastic
Oh,
job
absolutely. Yes.
of disseminating this information on almost a daily basis with some great photos.
Right.
Every once in a while we get a video, but we don't need a video every day.
Right.
But probably every 2 or 3 days we get another bunch of pictures and some more information. I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
Oh,
they are.
and while I'm at it, they will be at the celebration with the ship watchers on the 27th.
All right. Let's
So
so do you have some specific information for that?
no.
Okay.
No, nothing other than that. But
All right, so just mark your calendars for
yes.
celebration. We I probably in our next episode we're going to have a good bit of breakdown for that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cover that more in
But
depth.
to get to if you do have questions for what for the video that you just saw with the or any other questions related to the Key Bridge rebuild,
Mm-hmm.
they do have the sessions that are coming up that are one's going on right now at the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds. They've got the fair
Mm-hmm.
going on until the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Be Essex Day Festival on September the 13th. The Church at Severn Run on September the 13th, and the River Days Festival at Fort Smallwood Park September the 13th also. So go to any one of those locations this weekend, and you can ask your questions, and they'll have representatives there to go and show you all the maps and drawings and all the write-ups that they have, and they can answer those questions.
I was just thinking about that. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 different locations in one day.
Well, I think they send their staff out. They know they do know that these are all public events where you're going to have a good chance to engage with the public. But
I was
it's a lot of
thinking
effort.
about them, their the displays and everything that they take with them and the tents and
right.
I'm picturing them being spread a little thin, going to 4 different places in one day. Yeah. Wow. That's pretty impressive.
So those so that kind of wraps up what we know about the Key Bridge at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
for upcoming events as we start to close out here, I did just give out the open comment sessions for the Key Bridge rebuild. Remember, the Pride of Baltimore is coming in, but they also have free events coming up September the 27th and 28th for deck tours. The 27th is out at Broadway Pier. The 28th of September is at Fort McHenry National Monument. So those are the upcoming dates. Now, in the Port of Baltimore history segment, Defenders Day is today, and I've been trying to do a little bit more research on the Battle of Baltimore, September the 12th through the 14th, 1814, which is a major battle during the War of 1812, in which a British invasion force attacked the city of Baltimore by land and sea. The Americans successfully defended against the British advance at the Battle of North Point and withstood a naval bombardment at Fort McHenry. And so the Battle of Baltimore, is definitely the inspiration of the national anthem. But I also found out that it's Baltimore's oldest holiday, and it has been going since 1815.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so they had the attack in 1814, and the next year they had a big party for it.
Right.
And it's continued on. So they have been celebrating Defenders Day since 1815.
I mean, if you almost got your butt kicked.
I know, right? You want to celebrate it?
Yeah.
So if you are interested in in some of the festivities around Defenders Day, there is a whole slew of activities down at Fort McHenry this weekend.
Awesome.
And so there's a large list. Go to the National Park Service's website, and they have a detailed list of everything that's going on. So
Cool.
And that's what I have. That's all that I have on for today.
Hey, so we are Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Ship Watchers, two guys talking ship podcast. We're all over the place on socials. Twix, shout out Amy Lawrence, Insta, Reddit, Threads. And we've got a few Facebook pages. And if you really like what we do and you'd like to support us, there are on the website, we have a swag page. Where you can, buy T-shirts and coffee cups and sweatshirts this time of year, hats, all kind of good stuff. I will have some of that stuff for sale. Probably not the clothing, but I'll have some stuff for sale when we show up for the celebration on 27th Broadway Pier. And then if you would like to support us more directly, go to the Patreon and look up Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Ship Watchers, and you can become a monthly member and help support us. We'd really appreciate it.
We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to the audio version. And we've been trying to do some more outreach with some of the other platforms, and we've noticed that there have been some obscure platforms that have picked us up also, which is great.
Right.
So search us out, Two Guys Talking Ship podcast on all of those platforms. You should be able to pick us up.
Yep. Yeah, it was funny. I was just kind of out researching and kind of looking and, hey, where are we and how many views do we have? And, are people leaving comments in other places and I'm not paying attention? I'm right. Just, doing like a back end kind of search. And I'm like, well, what the heck is this app? How do we get there? What?
Trying to get it out there.
Kind of cool.
All righty. Hope everybody has a good week.
Yep.
We're ready to count it off. 3,
yep, let's do it.
2, 1. Happy
ship watching. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll probably see you next week.